All right, hey, I want this back row. Everybody come forward a little bit. Grab a seat in the front row.
Motivation is a choice every day.
Motivation is a choice every day. Jared, everybody come forward. Let's fill all these seats, guys.
Yeah, I wrote down motivation gets you going, but habit gets you there.
Motivation gets you going. Habits get you there.
Having some balance.
What's that?
Having some balance in life.
Balance in life is good. For the new people starting out, balance really isn't a choice. It's hard. Whatever you look for, you find more of. What else, guys?
When we look at opportunities, opportunities increase.
What's that?
When we look at opportunities, opportunities increase.
I love that.
Yeah, last night.
Be last night.
Always learning.
Love the feedback at 11 o'clock at night. I'm always here for you guys. But
Failures and getting knocked down and staying down.
right. Love it. What else?
You drown if you stay still.
What's that?
You only drown if you stay still.
You only drown if you stay still. Love that one. So you guys picked up some quotes. I saw some of you guys writing some stuff down. You know, try to play some Zig stuff a couple of times a year. And attitude is important. And I think it's all about mindset. And really it's been one of my key features and one of my strengths throughout my career. And as I've been able to work with you guys one-on-one, you know, as we're working through, I wouldn't even call these changes. It's just things that we are implementing that have been with us for a while, but we really just didn't enforce. And so, you know, having these conversations and bringing clarity over the last couple weeks has been a process, and I've enjoyed talking with you guys and learning about you. And it's interesting because perception is people's reality. And yesterday, I had a couple people tell me that you know, I was lucky, or you know, I'm a partner, so I just don't get it. And Brian's the same way, you know, and we just didn't fall on top of the mountain, right? And so a few times a year, I like to really understand, you know, your guys' struggles, but also to articulate some of the struggles that I've went through to be able to get to where I'm at. Some of you guys are just taking on the world of entrepreneurship. Some of you guys have never had a 1099 job, like the likes of Dylan. And it's tough when you make that commitment, right? How many kids do you have, Dylan? That's a big reason why, right? I know you stayed up late at night and attempting to figure it out. But there's going to be turbulence. There's going to be learning lessons. There's going to be learning curves. Some of you guys saw Trisha win a lot of awards towards the end of the year, right? And how much money did you end up making, Trisha? Like 80, 85,000 first year with us? I can remember when it was the end of the world for Trisha, and you know, I spent hours with her, and you know, she probably don't like me to tell this, but she cried many times. But she was open and she was struggling. We've all been there, you know. I, at the age of 22, was going to college. I got laid off from MCI, and I got laid off from an aircraft job previous to that. And I had Aflac say, hey, you know, you're going to make all this money, get into business for yourself. I just got laid off a few times. I was going to college for business. So I was like, all right, cool, let me do this, right? I committed to it, made $11,000 my first year. I was paying office space, I was paying phone, I was paying for paper, I was paying all this stuff. I only made $11,000 that first year in business with Aflac. Mike Reed knew me back then. I was an ambitious little sucker, right? My wife hated me. We moved out at 18. I was eating Roman noodles and weenies and all that stuff. My wife said, this is the dumbest thing that you ever done, and you need to go back to school and go get a damn job. But I was going to school for business. I'd already swallowed the hook, line, and sinker for entrepreneurship. So I said, I have to commit to this, right? I had to commit to something. I couldn't keep going to school and you know, working at Aflac. So I had said, okay, how can I maximize this? I dropped out of school. I come from a split family. A lot of you guys know my mom's an alcoholic. I have 7 aunts. All of them are drug users, all the way from cocaine to meth. Very pessimistic people. I was the only person to ever graduate high school in my family. They're all naysayers. You know, went to North over there, and that's where we came from. I remember going into to try to save on phone lines. I said, went to the regional manager at Aflac. I said, hey, I only made $11,000. I dropped out of college. I want to figure out how to cut some cost. I went down in the hood where Cricket's at and got a cell phone for $25 a month. down there at like Waco and 25th Street. And that cell phone is what started my career. I started calling 700 people a week off of that cell phone. It's real, but it was a sacrifice. And then at the time, that next year, I made more money. That year, made more money. And so, what's the first thing as a young person that starts making some money? What are you gonna go spend your money on?
Buy a motorcycle.
Car. So you know what my ass did? Instead, you know, I lived in a motel or an apartment down in Riverside across from the jail with my wife. She's still going to school and working full time. I get a little bit of money, and what do I go do? I go buy a BMW. You know what I do next? I have a brother that's a few years younger than me, and he wanted to go out with some friends and party. He's not even 21 yet, and drinks a fifth of vodka and rolls it. You know what I had on my car?
No insurance.
Liability. He rolled my car. I'm stuck paying a BMW car payment, struggling paying rent, keeping food on the table, and now what I have to go do, all I can afford is this. This is the car that I drove. Window wouldn't roll up. I'm literally driving to businesses in this thing with a tie on, getting out of this thing. As a 23-year-old kid, blowing into businesses and getting kicked out of the business. My second year, I had a bad year, to the point where it was devastating. Like it was tough. Yeah, and so there was a gentleman I called on, and it really changed my perception with stuff, because I was blaming it on I was young. I was blaming it on they're judging me because I'm pulling up in this damn car. If I was blaming my brother, if I could just get my BMW back, they'd probably buy insurance from me because I had a nice car. But it wasn't about the external things. It wasn't about my cricket phone. It wasn't about, you know, me paying what I had to pay just to be around those type of people. And I was more than happy paying that to be around that type of experience, knowledge at Aflac, because I learned a lot. I was calling on this business. It was like 50 employees. I blew in there a few times. He blew me off. I kept following up with him. And then he said, "Can I be honest with you?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Yeah." He's like, "Can you come and talk to me?" I was like, "I'm getting the account. I'm getting this thing. I'm signing it up." So I told everybody at the office, and I was cashing the check, right? He let me into his business. He said, "How old are you?" And I think I was like 24 at the time. And he said, "You're probably not going to be in business next year. And let me tell you why. Because I was pitching features of working for a Fortune 500 company, and I was leveraging some of the veterans. But me personally, I had no experience, and I wasn't growing personally, right?" And he's like, "This is why, this is what we're looking for, and this is why you're probably not going to be successful, and this is why you're not going to be in business in a year." He made a promise to me, if you're still in business in a year and you make over X amount of money, I will give you my account. And then he also told me what I needed to do personally to make that happen. I took his advice and called him a year later on the damn dot, showed him X amount of money I made, X amount of accounts I grew, committed to my personal growth, and he gave me the accounts. And then it just really exploded from there and went on up until the market crash 08, 09, and I was covering 3 states, and it was just, you know, I didn't want to be on the road that much. I said, from 5 years from today, I don't want to be doing this, right? And so I, you know, walked away for a year, didn't do anything. I was actually quite depressed, right? So you successful at something, I never really felt defeat. I felt like I persevered through that, but yet I cashed out all my stocks and I took a gamble, and then I just, I fell into a tax issue, right? Because I tried to carry on the same lifestyle until a year later I met Mike. And there's only a few people working here. Brian was like one of the only 3 or 4 buyer agents sitting around the phone waiting for the phone to ring. Mike was still working in the field 15-hour days with Grant. I didn't know if I could trust him. I'm like, why wouldn't I just become an independent agent and go work for a single brokerage and just do what I've done? I've been self-sufficient, independent, full of a lot of ego still at that time, and also wanting to prove to my wife and myself that I can restart. My wife wanted to have a kid. I kept putting my wife out on buying a house. We stayed down there in Riverside, and you know, a nice place down on the river. But she wanted more, you know. And I was just like, we can't do it now. And I don't want to go get a job. It's just not me, right? And I didn't even know if I could trust Mike. You know, I came in, met with him a few times. So I came in for 6 months with this company, making about $300 a week, only being paid $100 per appointment that I was setting for Grant and a guy by the name of Jeremy Faust at that time. That's it. I did that for 6 months just to figure out if I could figure this business out, because I didn't want to commit to something and I wasn't just going to chase money. I was willing to put in the struggle, and it wasn't about the money. It was about really figuring something out, because once I made a commitment, I was going to do it 110%. 6 months later, Mike come in and shut the door and said, what's it going to take to get you to commit to this company? And then when I made a commitment, the rest is history with that. Yeah. But it just wasn't as easy as us flicking on internet leads and everybody being successful and making money. Some of you guys saw this in the inside sales group. When I came into this company, our culture, quite frankly, was shit. Everybody was really out for themselves, and I didn't really think it was a team. It was just a group of people making money at the top. We had no internet leads. We had no training. We had nobody willing to help each other out. It was actually very contrary, where people would run people off as they would come in the door. The problem was I made a commitment and I was willing to stick it out with a few people. As things started to change and we started to get better, I will never forget, even one of the women came up to me and said, I don't know who the hell you think you are. Or she said, I don't know who the fuck you think you are, but things are always going to be this way, and I promise you're not going to be here too much longer, and they'll be like this after you leave. That's how territorial it was and how bullish it was. And to see where we're at today, guys, we're in a beautiful place, right? We're in a great place. And this guy was a guy that was the first guy that I started working with internet leads. Actually, Mike knows this guy. Went to school together. I'll never forget the first day I met Jeff. He had all this stuff in Mike's office. We all used to office with 3 or 4 or 5 people in an office. I've officed everywhere almost in that east side with multiple people, and it's always been like that until really this last year. And I never forget that this guy had his feet kicked up on Mike's desk with all his boxes up everywhere, eating Taco Bell on Mike's desk the first time I saw this guy. And I was like, holy shit, Mike's gonna kill you. And he's like, no, I know Mike, we went to school together, everything's good. This guy is very successful at selling other products, Tupperware, cook stuff. He was very animated. Some of you guys might know him. Good guy, great guy. Got him on the internet side of things. He was a pessimist. He would always sleep in the chair while I'm making calls. He would never make calls around me, and I'm sitting there call after call after call struggling. My first year, I only sold 23 houses, and I was putting 12, 13, 14-hour days in back to back for a couple of years. And I feel where you're at, Dylan. I feel where Josh is at. I understand what some of you guys are going through to rebuild. Okay? But I want you guys to look at one another and the Tonys and the Tobys and people who have been here for a year and restarting, and somebody like Mike, and feel inspired from those people. And I want people to look around and think other people are lucky, because there's a sacrifice that was made. This guy was the first guy that worked internet leads with me. He said all internet leads are crap. We can't make no money. He's out chasing, not attracting. He's not handling his business in a professional manner. He wasn't phenomenal. So what happened to him? He was forgotten about. He had to go back to selling Tupperware and knocking on doors, just because he couldn't unlearn and relearn a new way of doing business. But more importantly, he couldn't believe. And he had a bad attitude about everything, even though he was a very positive guy in terms of tonality and laughing and fun, but he was super negative. That rubbed off on other people in the office as well. And those people ended up not making it. And so people that have the right mindset and believe and can create a better environment for their peers, and then also for their own family, is huge. And so I ask you guys not to be negative, but to be positive. Because what you experience today, if you're upset about something, or you don't believe it should go this way, like, we are light years away from where we was at just a few years ago. And so I smile, and I'm blessed to be able to work with each and every one of you, and in this culture that we have today. And I hope that you appreciate it as much as myself, but I would challenge you to improve it. So one day you're telling a story just like myself, or you're becoming a lead and helping other people. This isn't just about one person. This is about collectively us really learning together, thinking together, and creating together. But also, it's okay if we're unhappy about stuff to talk about it. And I think we expressed that last week. And some people didn't make the meeting, and we had to address some stuff. But don't feel like your opinion doesn't matter. You guys' opinion matters. And don't think that your opinion is suppressed, or Brian's not available, or I'm not available. Trent told me yesterday or this week that an agent went to him and said I wasn't available for them. I've never turned down a time to set up an appointment with you guys, or meet you in your office, or to hop on a phone call with somebody at 11 o'clock at night. So I don't want you guys to feel that Brian's too busy for your time, your leads are too busy for your time, or me personally is too busy for your time. We're here for you guys. All right? We've all went through struggles to get to where we're at. Some of you guys are just taking on your endeavors and your struggles. So I just felt kind of compelled to share my story, as I felt like some of the people who have been around here a while have heard this story. I tell it maybe once a year or something like that. I think it's good for the new people, because they're like, damn, he's young, doesn't seem that smart. You know me, I don't know why he's there. You know, truthfully, you know, just my mindset and my work ethic have got me where I'm at. It wasn't that I was just like, I'm gonna think smart and implement technology and work on marketing. I worked my ass off, and I believed, and I attracted I visualized it, and it happened. I believe that it's harder now to earn and to do more. So you have to work smarter, but you also have to work harder. And I think it's a myth that I'm gonna work smarter, not harder. You can't compete today doing that. You'll just be mediocre. You'll be average. We're not an average group, guys. Number 9 in the nation is not average. But we're a different team this year than last year, and I think we're really going to have to go through some growing pains to improve. And it's about togetherness. Okay? I want you guys to look at each other. I want you guys to look at each other and be inspired and share these stories with each other, okay? Because I was told from my whole family I couldn't be successful. I couldn't do it. I was told by my wife just to stay to college, get a 9-to-5 job. I was told by everybody in my world. Believe in yourself and other people will. Make it a great day. That's all I got.